Hi people, my name is Sarah Bishbay, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back. Hi if you're new. I want to remind you and tell you if you're new about one thing on my channel. We focus on one thing at a time, and that is grow up, don't give up. You stumble upon a sit down video from my playlist, Thinking About Things. And today we're going to be talking and thinking and reflecting upon podcasting versus YouTube. Why? What's the conversation here? What's the point? I got into podcasting in 2020 and I got into YouTube in 2021. I want to think about what I'm doing, what I'm trying to create, if you're trying to create something too. Whether it's community, whether it's just content for fun, whatever. So I'm going to share my experience with both, and hopefully it helps you. So let's just do it. Where did it all start? I have two articles linked in the description, one about the start of podcasting, one about the start of YouTube. Now, for podcasting, okay, please raise your hand in the comments if you had an iPod. iPods kind of were the first thing of podcasting, and also if you do have a podcast, I'm going to share this extra little note, but you know, like your RSS feed in the article, it tells you what it stands for. I don't know, but like having that be invented allowed podcasting to be brought to you on your iPod. And there's the Purple Podcast app as we know it today, and we have Spotify and we have Anchor, which Spotify owns, but you know what I mean. So podcasting really started in 2005. And it just really has grown from there, which I'm sure we all know. Also, something that I didn't put two and two together, but as a kid growing up, I thought I was Shania Twain. I had a boombox and a microphone, and I was like, sign me, like record deal, here we go. And I would always make these really cringy songs in GarageBand, but GarageBand was like pitched at like those Apple conventions to be obviously for music, but also to be for creating podcasts, which is hilarious because in all of the podcast like friends that I've made that have podcasts, I haven't heard of anyone that uses GarageBand. Whereas like in the YouTube world, people do recommend and say, oh, like use iMovie and you can make videos and stuff. So that was kind of an interesting fact that I learned. I started off making podcasts and podcasting and being a podcast host back in May of 2020 because I just needed to create something, and it wasn't gonna be music, unfortunately, but I wanted to create something that was mine, that I worked on, that I started, that I felt like I had done something and just done something somehow, somewhere. And so I just started talking because I can do that. Like I can talk into my phone. I use Anchor to record. I would just talk into my phone and started making episodes about things that I cared about and interviewing people that were in my life or people I just wanted to have a conversation with. I always thought it was so fun that I could just message somebody on Instagram and be like, hey, I love your TikToker. I loved something that you made online. Like, do you want to talk more about it on my podcast? Like I talk with women entrepreneurs. But before podcasting and still now, like I didn't have anyone that I was like, I hadn't created a community or found people that I knew wanted to listen to my podcast. So I was just really creating it from scratch, from nothing. And obviously, if you don't create anything, you're not going to create a community around whatever you're creating. And if you don't share, you're not going to do that. So that's just an interesting thing for when we get to the tech side of things to keep in mind. So then YouTube, after a year of making podcasts, I finally got the courage to set my phone up once again, thank you freaking phone, and start recording videos because I have a message to share and to show, and that is grow up, don't give up. And I want to show you that you don't have to give up even though you're growing up. I'm 27. I'm not giving up on making videos or making podcasts or living every day how I want to live every day, and not because of somebody else's life in their head for me, not because of my parents' expectations of me, not for any other reason than my own freaking reason to be alive. this little connection kind of happened for me because I felt my confidence be able to grow through podcasting. Like, no one's seeing me, no one knows about me because my podcast just lives in podcast world. And I needed like that whole year to really get the courage to be like, okay, I'm going to put my face out there. Like, now it's funny because it's easy for me to say, oh, I have a podcast. And then I follow up with, oh, and I do YouTube too. Like, I'm still building that confidence. So that's kind of my little story about podcasting and YouTube. I didn't have or don't have a pre-existing community already. That's something that I have a goal for, that I want to build, that I want to find people that resonate with my content. And this is what I really want to talk about. Podcasting and podcasting apps inherently in the tech are for listening to the podcast. YouTube specifically and video apps, TikTok, are for discovering. And that's where we get the algorithm. That's why we hear all about the algorithm, because these apps are inherently for discovering videos and content and people and communities. Podcasting is not built for that. So I want to just say that. I just wanted to say that because it's something I think about. It's something that I think about when I create my podcast, and then I have to not only create the podcast, but go on Instagram and become a graphic designer and a professional marketer. And like, I want and strive for growth and expansion in my little career, in my new life. And doing the podcast, no one's going to go on the podcast app and discover you unless you already have a community from somewhere else. And I think that's really important because, first of all, I think there's space in the podcasting industry to have an app that is audio only or something. I'm just literally brainstorming right now. I don't care. I always, actually, this is a tangent, but I have a million ideas and I literally give them out for free, no charges. If you want to make this app, go for it. I'm not going to come ask you for royalties. Like, I'll make my own stuff that I want to make. But like, again, free ideas. Like, if someone wants to make an audio only app that maybe like you TikTok scroll through and it's just little snippets of podcasts until you find one you like and you're interested in, you know, where do you go for finding podcasts? I love podcasts. I go on Instagram. I find podcasts on TikTok. I mainly Instagram, and then like people that I like influencers or like people with businesses. Most of the influencers that I like have their own business, whether it be an app, whether it be a clothing store, whether it be an astrology business. Like, they do other things for their community. So it's more of like a influencer, but it's a community space, not like a I'm selling you the shirt type of influencer. And they'll recommend like what podcasts really light them up and what they listen to. And then I just follow. And then when I'm listening to a podcast, they'll recommend what podcast they like. And so it's very old fashioned. Like, imagine me calling you up and being like, hey, I just saw this person on this video app called YouTube. You should go listen to them. Like, it's that doesn't happen on YouTube because the algorithm can pick me up. The algorithm can love me. The algorithm can hate me. You can love me. You can hate me. Like, we have that ability to do that on here, which I think is crazy but awesome. But on podcasting, we don't do that. It's one out, nothing in. I put out podcasts. I don't know if anyone even likes them. I barely know if people listen to them because I'm convinced my analytics. Then if I'm like spending all my time creating Instagram content for my podcast to promote it, like, that doesn't light me up. And I'm also not the best at that. Like, I'd rather do speaking and sitting down like in this video, and I like this too because I get to edit and I like editing, and I don't edit a lot in my podcast. So YouTube is fun too, and YouTube kind of goes with TikTok too because you can create like kind of curated videos on TikTok, or like it boosts content. It shows you like virality, what's the word? Like, being able to go viral, like, originated on YouTube, I think, right? kind of, like, what else would it have been? And that is also huge for TikTok, not for Instagram, but for TikTok. And so getting seen and getting heard and finding people that you connect with and resonate with. And that's where we are right now. We're in the age of communication. We're in the age of the internet. This is something that's similar for podcasting and YouTube, but like, I'll listen to a podcast or I'll watch a YouTube video and I will really enjoy the person and their energy, and I'll take it in and I'll like drink the Kool-Aid basically. And then I want to go bring it out to somebody that's going to take this and go be inspired. And it just makes this beautiful chain reaction. If you're wanting to create something, or you're wanting to share your expertise or your voice, whatever it may be, if you need to build up the confidence like I did, I would just start with podcasting, because you can just put it out there. You have to search it on Spotify, but you have to know what to search. And you can kind of go undercover and let your voice be heard and listen to yourself and figure it out. Tell your friends if you want to. Don't tell them if you don't want to. Make an Instagram or a TikTok if you want to. And where you can really build that community and really find a sustainable success. And a sustainable success is something that you can make videos and podcast episodes every day and every week and every month, or at least create and still be able to live your life and live off your work. You definitely want to pick YouTube or TikTok to make that content, because the platforms in themselves are made for blowing the up. That's kind of podcasting versus YouTube from a bird's eye view. I hope it made sense. I hope my experience can kind of guide you like yay or nay to one or the other. What are your thoughts about podcasting versus YouTube? Or what are your thoughts about the audio and just listening to things versus video and visual and seeing and communicating thoughts and ideas? Also, like I mentioned, I love discovering new podcasts and obviously new YouTubers too. So leave all your favorite podcasts and all your favorite YouTube and TikTok creators in the comments for me so that I can go check them out and maybe join some more little communities. But thank you for being here. Remember, grow up, but don't give up. Don't give up. If today's the day you were going to quit and today's the day you're going to give up, don't do it, because you can freaking do it. All right, I'll see you in the next video.